Hello everyone. In continuation with the coding implementation series, today we will discuss and learn about the Pandas library of Python. As a beginner, you must master Pandas, which helps you access, analyze, clean, explore, and manipulate data. In simple words, it helps you work with datasets and make them suitable for training models or doing analysis. As we have previously discussed, data is the core of every and any AI, ML, or data science project. So, having the data and working with it is very important. Talking about the history of pandas, the development was started in 2008. Then 2009, the pandas library became open source. In 2012, the first edition of pandas for data analysis was published, and so on. The development is going on, and here we are using pandas as the very first library in every data science and machine learning task. So in this video, we will cover the basic operations that can be done using pandas. Here, I would also like to mention the names of other popular Python data science libraries, which we'll be covering in the future videos. And you must know NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Plotly, and other data visualization packages, and Scikit-learn. So these are some of the popular Python libraries, which together form the tech stack, or you can say the Python library stack that you need to get started. With that, we will first see how to import a dataset, view it as a data frame in Python library. Let's dive in. If you are new, you need to install pandas using pip install pandas command, and then you have to import it in our environment. Every time you have a new project at hand, you need to import the libraries that are required to work with it. So the next command that you will write is import pandas as pd. So when you are going to run this pip install pandas, if you're the first time person using pandas, it'll take some time to install this library in your environment, but because I've been using it, so it is showing requirement already satisfied. Similarly, when then you will import pandas as pd. Yeah, now here as pd is the alias for the pandas library, because typing pandas again and again can be repetitive and tedious for the entire code. So what we do is we type only pd, and this pd refers to pandas in the entire code. Then we are loading a dataset, as I showed you in the previous video how we can load a dataset. We are loading a CSV file in this variable called df. So this is the dataset. This is Airbnb dataset, referring to the Madrid location. If you want to get access to this dataset, it is present on my drive. I'll share the downloadable link in the description box below. So from there you can download the dataset, and you can also practice these commands yourself and see if you are getting the same kind of results or not. All right, coming to the next part. If you want to have a look at the data set, so now there are various ways. There's no one size fits all kind of a command for any machine learning or data science project. Of course the basics remain the same, but the approach that you will take, the steps that you will follow to accomplish one task varies from problem to problem. So for this, looking at the data set, you can simply you type df in this command box, and you can do it. Just run it. You can have a look at the data set. The top few rows and the last few rows will appear in this particular command. Otherwise, what you can do is you can type okay, here we will discuss it in here in the top few rows and top bottom rows. So otherwise, what you can type is you can type df.head. This command will show you the top few rows, and then you can type df.tail. This will show you the bottom rows of the dataset separately. Okay, so if you type df.head, you by default it gives you the top 5 rows. Supposingly you want to see the top 20 rows, so what you need to do is you need to type 20 in the curly brackets, sorry, in the curved brackets or the parentheses of this particular method, and then you need to run it again. Now when you will run, you will see it will give you the top 20 rows, that is still index number 19 from index number 0. Now similarly, if you want to see the last 5 or sorry, the last 20 observations in the data set, or the last 20 rows, because it will by default be showing you only the last 5 rows, then you need to type 20 in this parenthesis and run this again, and you will see the last 20 rows. The row number starts from 19598, and then it goes on to 19617. So these are the last 20 rows in the data set, and the columns obviously they remain unchanged. Okay, now supposingly you want to understand a little bit more about the data. So what you are going to do is you can type the command df.info. Now this command is a very good command to have a look at the missing values, at the data types, and also at the memory usage of this particular data set, like how much memory it occupies in the environment. So this particular data set, it has a total of 16 columns. These are the null value count. Now you see here this last review column, it has 13981 non-null values, and rest of the columns have total of 19618 values. So this is particularly less. There's a deficit of around 6000 values. That means there are missing values in this particular column, and it is of object data type. Okay, so these integer 64, object and float 64, these are the three very popular data types in the um, data systems. Okay, integer refers to whole number values, as you already know. Float refers to the decimal type of values, and object refers to the text type of values, or you call them string also in some of the programming languages. So these are the three very famous data types which you will mostly come across in projects related to data science and machine learning. Okay, and then it gives you a summary also, that the total float variables are 3, the total integer variables are 7, and total object variables are 6. The total memory usage is 2.4 plus MB of this particular data set. Then there's another command which is called df.describe. It gives you the descriptive statistics of all the variables which are there in the data set. Okay, so this is the id variable, this is the host id, latitude. You can see that the mean value of the latitude is 40.42, the mean value of the longitude is minus 3.6. Okay, so these are the mean values for this particular column. For every particular column, the mean value is mentioned here. Okay, availability mean value is 159. Then you have the standard deviation in this particular row, or the standard deviation for latitude is 0.022. Okay, then the minimum value of latitude is 40.33, maximum value for latitude is 40.56. Okay, minimum value for longitude similarly is 3.86. So this is how you read this particular result, and by way of this you can see for the price column. Okay, the minimum price is 0, which means this is a wrong value. There cannot be any Airbnb stay which charges you zero whatsoever in the currency to stay there. Okay, there must be some value. So 0 is incorrect, and then maximum is 9999, so this can be correct. But again, if you look at the distribution 35, 50, 800, and then you go to 999, this seems a fairly large value. That means it will be a very large property. That is something you can inference from this particular thing. Similarly, minimum nights is 1, and maximum nights is 1125. Okay, again, kind of seems like an incorrect value, because nobody is going to stay in a hotel for 1125 days. Okay, then reviews per month and all. So this is another way of understanding your data better. Like I said, this can be an incorrect value, this can be an incorrect value. All right, so these are the two important methods by way you can have a look at a bit, and you can have a better understanding of the data. Okay, now you want to check the shape of the data. Shape means how many rows and how many columns your data has. So you just need to type df.shape and of 0. Shape 0 will give you the rows, and similarly if you type df.shape 1, this will give you the columns. Okay, and let's print these out. Print, so that you don't get confused. So rows comma this, and here print columns comma this, and let's run it. See, it has a total of 19618 rows and a total of 16 columns. Okay, so this is how you can get the shape of the data set using these commands. Then if you want to just check the data types of your particular um, data frame, you need to type df.dtypes and run this. Okay, so you, like we already saw the data types in df.info command, but if you want to separately just have a look at the data types, then this command is very handy and very useful. It is used most of the times. Okay, int 64 id column has a int 64, name column has object, and you can check it intuitively also, right? Name is supposed to be some textual value, so it should have an object kind of a data type. Okay, and sometimes what happens, incorrect data types are present. For example, the id would be an object data type, which should ideally be integer only. Okay, so we will see how we can check all these things, and how we will be able to treat all these things. The manipulation part would come later. In this video we are mostly concerned with the analysis part of data, understanding the data better, and what all commands pandas have. Okay, then checking for missing values, then you need to type df dot is null, and it will give you the missing values in the data set. You see. Okay, and see, wherever it writes false, that means there you don't have a missing value, but wherever it writes true, there you have a missing value. If we type df dot is null dot sum, okay, then it will give you the sum of missing value in every column. Okay, that it means that the id column doesn't has any missing values. 0 means no missing values, but the name column has 3 missing values, host name has 527 missing values, last reviews per month, these have 5637 and 5637 missing values. So missing values are not good for the data, whether you want to do analysis or whether you want to go ahead and do some kind of machine learning task. So we need to treat the missing values, but how we do it, that we'll be discussing in a separate video. Then if you just want to get the column names, you need to type df dot columns, and it will give you a list of all the columns. See, this is how. And if you further convert it into a list of df dot columns, then you will get the column names in separate lines like this. All right. So these are just the names of all the columns. Often it is required to have the column names separately because you want to iterate, you want to loop through the column names again and again, and then perform the same operation on every row. So this command comes in a very useful manner there. Okay, then if you want to count the value of each column, then there's a command called df dot. Okay, let's take some name of some column. For example, df price. Okay, price, this is how actually. Okay, if you simply write df price, this will only give you one column values. Okay, and then after price, if you write value underscore counts. Now value underscore count is a method. It will give you the count of every value in the particular column. For example, the value 50 appears 585 times. The value 25 appears 545 times. Okay, the value 1150 appears only one time in the entire column. So similarly, you can check for other columns as well. For example, let's take this name, or let's take host ID column. Okay, if you want to check df, and if I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, whenever you will open a bracket, whether it is a square bracket or a parenthesis, Python automatically, you click on the opening bracket, Python will automatically add the closing bracket, so that you don't forget it. Because most of the times, what in the initial days what happened was, the errors were because the brackets were not properly closed. The number of brackets that should have been closed in the code were less, so that is why. Okay, so now you see the host id, uh, the value count, this particular id appears 163 times, this particular id appears 101 times. So this way you can have a look at the the value count of every particular value in a particular column in a data set. Now if you want to just have the names of the unique values, okay, then there's a function called sorry, method called unique, which you can apply, like df price dot unique, and then you see the results. Okay, so this gives you all the unique values. It will not give you the count. Like here you will getting the count of the value, but here you will not get the count. You will only get all the unique values that are there in the data set. Okay, let me check it with the host id dot unique. Let me show it you with this. Okay, so host ID, there are only one, two, three, four, five, six values that is showing, but I think there will be, since there are three dots here, there will be many host IDs. It is not showing here. Okay, let's check out for name. Let's replace host ID with name. Okay, so it is showing you some of the names, the unique names: rooftop terrace room, ensuite bathroom, bright and airy room, apartment 2, Angular, Madrid Rio, and then again three dots. That means there are a lot of values which Python cannot, or this particular environment cannot display here. Okay, isolate a column. If you want to isolate a column, you can type df dot the name of the column, for example name, and you can run this command, and it will give you the names of all names of sorry, it will give you the name column. It gets confusing at times. It will give you the name column for every row. Simply, you can only get the name column from, you can extract the name column from the entire data frame with this command. Similarly, if you type df dot what are the variable we have, availability 365, this also will give you uh, the column, the availability column for every row. Okay, so these are some of the commands. So we have seen some steps or operations that can be done using the Pandas library. The advantage of using Pandas is that it offers quick, interactive, and efficient data manipulation. You can also load files from different formats into the environment. You can merge data sets, handle missing data, and do lots more, which we will cover in the coming videos. I'll conclude by saying that there is no one size fit all solution for data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning projects. It comes with practice and experience. In the next video, we will cover more with pandas, go into cleaning and manipulation commands and concepts to help you get a better hang of it. Until then, keep practicing and let me know your questions in the comments. Thank you for watching this video till the end. If you liked it and you find it useful, do share it with your friends and peers who might want to learn data science and artificial intelligence.